beautiful people? My name is Davi. I'm joined by Abe and Charlie. Welcome back to another Tony Tuesday, aka Redox Reaction. For our viewers and listeners, we hope you guys are doing well. We're also joined by the special Ruby, the princess, the queen, the one and only Ruby.
Back again for another Tony Tuesday.
And just a quick heads up, this episode is also available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, the discussion portion. So if you want to listen to our discussion, click on the description below and you'll find the links. Abe and Charlie, how you guys doing?
We're good.
Good,
Ready
sir.
to continue this craziness that Tony is going through right now with the hots he has for his psychiatrist.
Yeah, bro. If this man has another sex dream about Dr. Melfi, my guy, you might need to seek alternative help from a different person.
He just had a nice little loving moment with his wife towards the end of the last episode, and I want to see if that's gonna last or if it's just a one off.
Yeah, I'm intrigued on how both dynamics will develop. His relationship with his wife and also his relationship with Dr. Melfi.
Yeah.
But, hey, we got some more insightful comments. Guys, thank you so much for your comments. They're really good. They're really good. We love your comments. People talking about the history of the show and also what they've noticed, picking up things that we haven't noticed. We love them. So
correcting
keep
us
correcting us.
The wrong terminologies. Thank you.
Yes. Please keep doing that.
Please. We love them. And if you're not new, if you're new here, please consider subscribing and also liking this video and commenting. We love you.
Hit the bell notification so that you can see all of our videos every time we post them.
Yeah, so you can get spammed every time we post a video.
It's only 3 times a week. Chill.
I'm kidding. But yeah, you should get notified so then you can watch it right away. Leave a comment. Let us know that you watched it first. And yeah, just keep engaging with us. We appreciate it.
We upload every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday at noon.
Yes, sir.
Eastern Time, EDT. Boom.
EDT. Yes. Abe, couple comments for us?
Yes, sir. As you mentioned, insightful comment. This one comes from Eli Shifty. Like the video, you freeloading frauds. If that's not an endorsement of liking this video, I don't know what is. Beautiful. Thank you, Eli. Next one comes from Rhett Sea Dog. The dream sequences in the show are easily one of my favorite parts. Gives room for some surreal filmmaking and a view into Tony's inner desires.
Yeah.
So that implies that there's going to be more of these.
Yes.
We saw it for the first time. So.
No, we've seen them.
Dream
No,
sequence?
We've seen
we
them.
have seen
We
them,
have
yeah.
seen
We
them.
have?
We have.
Oh.
Yes, we have.
Oh, I do not recall.
There's one with
Where?
Jackie. He has one with
Yes.
Jackie. I remember that. That's the one. It's one where
No,
he's
I
in
don't
his
remember
where he's in Dr. Melfi's room.
Oh, yeah,
And
but
he's-
that one was like so not, I don't know. It wasn't obvious to me that it was a dream at that moment. I don't know.
They might play with it and it might evolve. We'll see how they evolve throughout the show, but I'm glad that it's not something they're gonna be abandoning.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
the last one that I have here is from La Cheeserie, and they were correcting us on the terminology that we were using for Tony and Dr. Melfi. Florence Nightingale effect is not quite accurate, but right track. Florence Nightingale effect is when caregiver catches feelings for the patient. This is the patient developing feelings for the therapist, which is called transference.
Yeah. So it's the flip.
The inverse. Yep.
Thank you for that comment.
Appreciate it.
Saw a couple other comments like that, so again, really appreciate
I
it.
learned the Florence Nightingale effect from Back to the Future. Fun fact.
Oh.
Yeah, he mentions it in that. So I tried to use it, but it was whatever.
It's okay. No.
You
were
what is
on-
it? Transcendence?
You good?
Transference.
Transference.
No, I
Thank you.
was trying to look for the. I was like,
Oh,
Charlie, do you like Back to the Future? Like, there's like 6
Yeah.
different things in this room that are Back to the Future. You just can't see all of them in frame.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The DeLorean and the flux capacitor right there.
That's the whiteboard, and then there's a poster that's literally been like leaning up against the bookshelf
Yeah.
over there that we
Because
haven't
it's
put up.
magnetic. It keeps falling.
Yeah, but we are a Back to the Future household, specifically us.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
We grew up on that.
Yeah.
It's dope. All right, y'all. Charlie, you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's get it.
Let's do it. Let's do it, Ruby.
It's 8th grade history, man. Stealing the sacramental wine? It's not sacramental until they bless it, moron. All clear.
AJ's back.
Oh, man. Are they up to no good in the church?
Damn, bro. Right in front
Priest
of
is
St.
going to
Jude.
catch him.
7, 6, 8, 7, 9, 8.
Boy, that was me in gym class. I'd be like,
Always behind, too.
11.
Are these boys drunk? Like,
What's so funny back there?
Oh, did they drink the sacrament wine?
yeah.
Oh.
Return. Up.
I'm doing shit.
Oh, burpees.
Oh.
One of them's going to puke, bro.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yikes.
Kick. Turn. Up.
don't feel so good.
Here he goes.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
Is that alcohol on your breath?
Oh, no.
Oh boy.
I've heard this. I mean, they're kids, but I've heard the sacrament wine is like really weak though. Must have had a ton.
Get him the hell out of here.
Is there a problem? This is a union safety official, and he stays until the union deems this workplace is free of hazard.
I have the money.
You do? Christopher, give the union a call and see if this gentleman here has paid up his union dues, and then pop one of these wheel covers. We'll check the brake pads.
Is the union dudes the taxes?
Basically, yeah.
You sure it was them?
Oh, that was a nice transition.
Byron Barber vomited all over the teacher.
I didn't even drink it. I spat it out.
Anthony.
On top of this, you're gonna lie to me now?
So he goes. This is his school?
Yeah, he goes for a Catholic school. I'm assuming. Yep.
I thought this somehow was just like a PE class for youth
For Catholic
at
kids.
their church. Yeah, and that it was going to be the other father to deal with it.
Oh, Carmela's
Dr.
daddy.
Galani. He's our school psychologist to join us.
In many respects, Anthony is a normal, healthy 8th grader. Anthony sometimes has trouble following the rules, weighing consequences. At times doesn't think before he acts.
Wonder where he got that from.
Anthony could be ADD.
Oh,
I knew it. I always knew there was something.
Well, what is it?
It's an aggregate of symptoms. Inattention, impulsivity. Of course, to be sure, we'll need to give him a thorough evaluation.
All he needs is a whack upside the head.
Classic.
You hit, Anthony?
Nobody gets hit in our house. I don't know what the world's coming to if you can't do a little tarantella on the kids every once in a while when they step out of line. And so what do we, as the parents, do? Nothing?
Oh, no, I mean, Anthony's misbehaved. He should be consequenced.
I bet that gym teacher shit a brick when your little friend puked on his boots, huh?
Oh, we have not seen this like whole family together.
Yeah.
nope, not at all.
Whatever happened, the boys will be boys.
He stole from the
Look
church.
at the size of those meatballs.
Oh, that food looks so good.
Yeah, I'm hungry right now, bro.
Oh, his father was the same way. I practically lived in that vice principal's office.
Told me not.
Well, I must have had another son who stole a car when he was 10 years old.
Oh my God.
He was a hellion, this one. Him and his little crew. They used to steal lobster.
Is what we're
Yo,
saying.
he's loving it.
How many times do I gotta say this? I don't want that kind of talk in front of this kid. That stuff is wrong, and I don't condone it.
You are not to play Mario Kart or go skateboarding for 3 weeks.
Damn, no Mario Kart.
I was about to say no Mario Kart.
And every day, you're going to ride your bike over to Green Grove Retirement Home and visit Grandma.
Oh, that'll be nice.
That was like me getting my video game controllers taken for a year.
You got it taken for a year?
Bro, I felt like more.
Several times.
Wow.
I'd have to buy them, bro. I'd have to buy one, sneak it.
Mom's gonna watch this video and be like, "Ah, you bastards."
For me, it was the no TV, bro. That hurt.
Oof.
You think he knows?
I don't know. She knows.
Really?
Oh my, yo.
Oh.
That was dope. That was nice.
Super quick flash.
Yeah.
Are you in the mafia?
She talked to you about me?
Something happened on that college trip.
Yes, it did.
These quick flashes are really jarring.
I like them. It kind of feels like we're in his brain
pretty
right
soon.
now, jumping in and out of it.
Two of us should sit down with Meadow, talk as a family.
And with him, they'll give him the test, and we'll see what's what.
So she's down for like explaining what's going on to Meadow, which is interesting. Kind of proves what we were talking about at the end of the last discussion.
Yeah, her getting involved.
This isn't so much her getting involved as much as it is kind of just like not turning a blind eye.
If he's got a disease, why'd they tell me to punish him? Doesn't that sound like bullshit?
ADD is a controversial subject.
Is it a disease, or is it a way for these psychologists to line their pockets?
A little bit of both, maybe. I have ADHD.
Same speed.
Do you see his behavior as a reflection of your own?
Look, like I said, maybe I don't want to admit there's something wrong.
Well, last time you were telling me that you had intimate feelings for me, but you've not mentioned it.
They're gone.
I think I said I was in love. I just can't turn off my feelings because you tell me it's a byproduct of therapy.
I never said you should turn off your feelings.
Well, I already got a girlfriend. She's Russian. 24. How old are you?
Oh, brother.
I find it interesting that it took you so long to tell me that you had a girlfriend.
How are you doing with it?
Ooh. The way she was talking about that situation with him, like, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Do what?
Just like calm and collected and asking her about it.
And that's why she's a therapist.
Yeah.
Then pull all the leaves out of the foam filter.
Oh man, he's rebelling.
Him or Meadow? Meadow's usually the one playing rap
No,
music.
it's the kid, Anthony Jr.
You said I couldn't watch TV or play Nintendo. What? You didn't say anything about music.
They find anything.
He's rebelling.
They find anything. Are we going into another dream sequence? That's a nice song to pick.
Hey, Johnny!
Uncle June, what are you doing here so early?
Hey, Anthony, where's your old man? He said he'd be waiting outside.
Flashback.
Anthony, why aren't you on your way to school? You missed your bus. You want to walk through the colored neighborhood?
She been racist.
She facts.
Colored was common at that time, for sure. Yeah. But still.
Not right now, Tony. You'll be good, though. Pay attention to what...
The first time we've seen his dad.
Yeah.
The guy they picked for Uncle June, kind of pretty good choice. Like,
yeah,
kind of looked like the older guy a little bit.
Hey, Rocco! Come on, move, guys! Move! One more day, man! One more day!
Dang, so he would see his dad get into this stuff.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, would see his dad and his uncle get into this stuff. Ooh.
Ah! Oh, you get away, Rocco!
So at least we know Tony's a lot more subtle than his dad.
Yo.
I thought it glitched for a second.
Some of the filmmaking moments are very, like, not smooth.
Yeah, you can see they're kind of experimenting with it and trying to do something different that TV wasn't doing at that time.
Yes.
Well,
that's what it feels like.
That type of edit, whatever they just did,
was
there
common.
in old school filmmaking, it would happen a lot.
Right.
But just the way that it happened there, I was like, did the Apple TV freeze?
Yeah.
Like, what happened?
Yeah, but that's a lot of times we've seen that with shots in this show, because, like, think back to the shot where our Carmela was doing the hand.
Yeah.
Like that, the first time that I saw a shot, I was like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like there's no subtlety to it. It's super abrupt and very, like, in your face. You have the editing. So
Even last episode when we saw the undercover FBI guy, where they just like start panning over slowly to his name tag and the little camera thing, it was like so intentional and so like slow. It's like they're trying to make it obvious as hell to you that there's something going on here.
Right, exactly. So it's not understated at all.
Yeah.
But I guess that's kind of, it fits the,
Right,
you know,
right.
sometimes the narrative of what's happening.
Right.
Why did your father whack the shit out of some guy?
I never saw him do something like that. I mean, he used to whack us kids around a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, the belt was his favorite child development tool.
Latino kids know.
Facts.
How did you and your father get along?
Good. Was a good guy, my father. Everybody liked him.
What did he do for a living?
Retail meat and provisions.
Retail meat and provisions.
Waste management.
Extortion loan shark.
Yeah.
Are you concerned that your son is going to find out about you? Does he know anything?
I don't know.
Has he asked you?
No,
How are you going to handle that?
I don't know.
Did you ever talk to your father about it?
What are you kidding?
Bada bing. Oh my God. Sorry, YouTube, you're not seeing that.
My daughter's been giving me all this feminist shit about this place. How it objectifies women.
Well, Meadow is one thing, but this is my son.
Boys are different from girls.
Kevin and Matt, they ever ask you about this thing, Oz?
I lied through my teeth, but they knew. They love me anyway.
Who's got an anniversary or a special occasion?
Ooh, what do you take these from people?
I was picking up the Chinaman's Vig, and the Fed fucking X-Van was wide open.
You did this in broad daylight?
Nobody saw me.
That's interstate commerce, you fucking Mama Luke. You want to spend 8 years in prison for a stupid stunt like that?
I take a licking, but keep on ticking.
And what do you think is going on in this one, Anthony?
Oh my goodness. Yes, they're so freaking old school.
Whatever pops into your mind.
Because there's no guy?
Good. Where do you think he is?
Out buying food for the horse?
Anything else?
Or watching TV, maybe? Or maybe he's watching South Park.
Oh my God, bro.
Or Cartman gets abducted by aliens, and they give him an anal probe, and it makes him fart fire.
And here's the ADD part.
Here we go.
Also, that's a great episode.
I didn't have an anal probe. Screw you guys. I'm going home.
Also, the fact that South Park was a thing.
You know, if it's bad, the ADD, they put Anthony in special ed.
Wait, what?
Put him in sped class.
Really?
Approximately 50% of children diagnosed with ADD receive help from special education teachers in this school.
I didn't.
Yeah, me neither, bro.
You blame me, don't you?
Who said anything about that?
No, go ahead. You blame me.
Blame myself.
For what? For staying with me? And who do we blame our daughter on? Straight A student, National Honor Society, featured soloist in the choir.
Yeah, this isn't going anywhere.
Like father, like son, right? What about daddy's little girl? What about you? You and your Uncle Lenny, that old bots. My son's got that in his gene pool. Do I blame you for that?
If it helps you.
Yikes. Man, thought y'all were going in a good direction.
Yeah. Well,
Tony didn't learn.
No, I wasn't going to last, unfortunately. Also shows like how little even, you know, what is this, 2000? How little they knew of ADD even 23 years ago.
And they still don't know nearly enough as they should.
Yeah.
This is your grandson?
He rode his bike all the way over to visit his grandma.
Craziest thing is the punishment that he has to go visit grandma. Terrible. Shouldn't be a punishment.
Oh, he's a big one.
She had a stroke.
Oh, Lord.
Now half a brain is gone.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Thanks.
Let's play Scrabble.
I don't think so, Ren. I'm kind of wiped.
Oh, you're a 13-year-old boy. You're too young to be so tired.
We hear that all the time.
I took like 1,000,000 tests.
A psychiatrist?
Oh.
They sent you to a psychiatrist?
Oh, she's gonna flip. There's no way that he's gonna be the link of them finding out Tony also does go to psychiatrist, right?
Dad goes.
He doesn't know.
Yes, he does.
To a psychiatrist?
Yeah,
He doesn't know.
Oh, he's fucked.
he does too.
He's
But why do you say that? That's ridiculous.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
As you were saying that, Charlie thinking.
As I said it, just boom.
Oh, I gave my life to my children on a silver platter.
Oh, it's the classic older generation. He couldn't have told a worse person too, because now Junior's gonna know.
Oh, that's.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, maybe we should call the auto club.
Maybe you should tell your dad what you did.
Yesterday with the psychologist. How'd that go?
Okay.
Yeah? What'd you guys do?
He made me look at these like pictures and stuff, and then I had to say something about them.
What'd you talk about? Anything interesting?
Let's get him between me and my therapist. He told me I didn't have to say anything if I didn't want to.
That's what we pay extra for at that school? Anthony, the other night at dinner, you made a remark.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did. Don't worry about it. I'm not mad. I just need to know what you meant by it.
I didn't mean anything.
Come on.
Some kids at school said some stuff.
What'd they say?
That you were in the mafia.
What do you think?
I don't know. There were all those guys at Uncle Jackie's funeral, and those other guys writing down license plate numbers and taking pictures. Those were feds, right? Just like in Godfather 1.
I knew it.
I'm going crazy with this shit. What he knows, what he doesn't know. I'm gonna find out eventually. What difference does it make? Me, my father. It's probably in the genes, right? You know, this ADD thing?
Yes. The answer is yes.
Probably all genetical.
Genetical.
But what about pussy? He's an acquaintance of mine.
Do you hold your father responsible for what you've become?
Yeah, sometimes I think about what life would have been like if my father hadn't gotten mixed up in the things he got mixed up in.
When you first started therapy, you said that you had this dream about those ducks. They flew away with your penis. It was a bad omen. Something was going to happen in your family. Is this the terrible thing?
Look, if you know something, please, quit fucking around.
I think it's important to remember. You said you like the History Channel. He who doesn't understand history is doomed to repeat it. Let's talk about your father.
Heads off!
There it is again.
Why are you smiling?
Just thinking about my uncle. Used to throw the ball with me.
The one with whom you have all this static?
Uncle June was always practicing his curveball outside in front of the house. I was probably about 8 or 9. Then my sister came out.
The one who lives in California?
Yeah, Janice.
How does she feel about your parents?
Who gives a fuck what she thinks? She calls herself Vishna Mata or something. Soprano wasn't good enough for her. Fucking wanna be dot head.
Oh my God. Goodness. That really triggered him.
I'm getting in the car.
Why? Where are you going?
Someplace.
Dad, where are you going? Can I come too?
Your mother wants you to help her get the screens down to the basement.
No, I want to go with you guys.
He said no.
Janice, neither one of you will be going. You talk to your brother like that.
Have we seen his sister?
No.
No. But this feels very parallel to...
Yeah.
Please, you wanted to give me anything for Christmas if you get me this.
I don't want to hear about that stupid electric organ anymore.
It's not stupid, it's fun.
I said enough.
Janice always gets everything she wants. Where are they going today? I don't know why I couldn't go.
That's because your sister does as she's told.
Oh, that's right, I forgot. Janice never does anything wrong. She's just perfect.
You're driving me crazy. I could stick this fork in your eye.
Jesus.
She wasn't gonna do it. Holy shit, that's why I'm remembering all this. On account of where they were going.
Where were they going?
I found out a couple of Sundays later.
Mom, I'm going to the CYO to play ball.
Take a bat with you. What they're doing on Springfield Avenue.
Looting and sniper fire along Springfield Avenue continue, with Mayor Hugh Adonisio now placing the blame on outside agitators.
Huh, what was that?
A riot or something? Some sort?
That's gotta be...
This is what, like 30 years ago? So, like, this is civil rights, I'm assuming.
Could be.
Yeah.
Oh my God. He's so smart.
Can I see her?
Maybe on the way home, honey.
He's the same way.
Well, yeah.
It's the same thing. Same
Yeah.
relationship that he has with his daughter.
Yep. Probably why he's projecting.
Because I said earlier, like, he has a better relationship with Meadow than he has with his son, and that good to know that it's purposeful. There's a reason behind it.
That is foul.
That's messed up.
That's foul, bro.
That is very, very, very foul.
Wow.
Take your daughter to the carnival, leave your son at home with a mom that wants to stab him in the eye with the fork.
Facts.
Pitchfork.
This isn't nearly as cruel as what we see with him and Meadow. Like,
Right.
he's not doing that.
No, he's not.
Oh, they're doing business.
Okay. Makes sense then.
You felt your father was showing favoritism. But how does this pertain to the situation with your son?
Because this amusement park was where I found out that my father wasn't like other fathers.
Shoot!
Jeez.
Guy's name was Chicky Sasso, my father's cousin on his mother's side. Got out of Vietnam on account of the cops blew his kneecap off.
Imagine seeing that as a kid in the...
That is dead. So he watched this.
Yeah.
It's okay, baby. It's okay, honey.
In the clown costume.
Using my sister Janice as a front, all the guys brought their daughters so that when they did their business, it looked sweet and innocent.
So Ruby always wants to be here at the start of Tony Tuesdays, but never wants to stay for the end.
Nope. She knows the end is where it gets serious. She's like, I can't take this anymore, guys.
Like, I don't want to see. She's seeing Tony suffer through these memories, and she's like, I don't want to see this.
She said, where's the animals?
But when I got home, my mother had a different perspective, which made me feel better.
So in her pain, she reached out to you.
Your father may not be home for dinner tonight. Go wash up.
I know.
What do you know?
I saw him getting arrested. What did he do?
They didn't do anything. They just pick on the Italians.
So he went to jail?
No, he came home in a couple of hours.
Livia! Look who's home! What happened? Stopped at Nasto's, got you some cherry vanilla. Let this be a lesson to you. Those stupid cops. They went to the wrong place. Arrested the wrong guys.
Hey, Johnny boy. Hey, good for you, Johnny. Show those f***ing sons of bitches.
What's up, Rocco?
Jesus. That's the guy that he beat up before, right?
Probably.
It is.
Why did they arrest your father?
He was in violation of his parole, association with known undesirables.
He'd been in prison.
Yeah, he was away when I was a little kid, but they told me he was in Montana being a cowboy. My son is doomed, right?
Why do you say that?
This is the part when I'm supposed to tell you how terrible my father was and the terrible things he did to me. But I'll tell you something, I was proud to be Johnny Soprano's kid. When he beat the shit out of that guy, I went to the class, I told him how tough my father was.
Do you think that's how your son feels about you?
Yeah, probably. I'm glad if he's proud of me. But that's the bind I'm in, because I don't want him to be like me.
Have you communicated any of this to your son?
Probably not at all. And what difference would it make? You said so yourself. It's in the blood. It's hereditary.
Genetic predispositions are only that, predispositions. It's not a destiny written in stone. People have choices.
She finally offers an opinion.
You don't think that human beings possess free will?
You're born to this shit. You are what you are.
Reno is growing by leaps and bounds, Livia. It's a chance to get in on the ground floor.
Reno, Nevada.
Me and the kids will go without you.
They are not going anywhere. I'd rather smother them with a pillow than take them to Nevada.
Always with the drama.
A lot of parallels.
Livia, here you are.
She about to tell him.
Yep.
You and the other one with all your headaches.
Who, Tony? You shouldn't be so hard on him. He's got a lot to learn, granted, but he's headed in the right direction.
Where to? Overbrook State Mental Hospital?
What?
Hey, Uncle Joe.
There's no way she's going to confront him about that in front of him, right?
You remember the Alatorres, Ma?
Oh, why wouldn't I? You know, they moved to Nevada. They're billionaires now. Oh, that Rocco Alatorre, he was a real go-getter.
Didn't Dad want to go with him?
No.
He did. I remember you guys talking about it. Alatorre was going to start a business. Dad was going to do a little thing with him. Dad wanted to go with him. You wouldn't let him.
Oh, this is going to throw her over the edge. She's going to be pissed.
You just tell me one time your father didn't do exactly as he wanted.
So Dad was no choir boy, but maybe with a little bit of support, you know?
Oh, Mr. Sensitive now. Well, if it bothers you, maybe you better talk to a psychiatrist.
You're a real stone player, aren't you, Ma? You know, everybody thought Dad was the ruthless one, but I gotta hand it to you. If you'd been born after those feminists, you would have been the real gangster.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Damn, she keeps her cards close to her chest, too. She didn't let him know.
The good news is no evidence of learning disability. As to whether Anthony has ADD, the results were interesting. The APA standard is for the subject to manifest 6 out of 9 possible symptoms of ADD.
He's got 9.
Anthony manifested 5.
Oh.
5, really?
He often has difficulty awaiting his turn and often fidgets with hands or feet.
He fidgets.
That's right.
And that's a sickness, to fidget. I mean, so what if he fidgets? He's in school. Who doesn't fidget in school?
He's projecting.
That's the trouble with you people. Every time you see a problem, you turn it into a disease. He's a kid who made a mistake, and he's going to pay for it. But he's going to be fine. Come on.
Frankly, I think he's right. And I don't think we should have to pay for this testing either.
Oh.
Okay, Carm.
Studying?
Government.
It's not the end of the world, Dan.
I'm depressed.
You're sad and you're angry because you did something stupid.
What are you doing?
What's it look like?
Is that for him after his workout?
This one's yours. Doesn't need sprinkles.
He's trying to bond.
Probably reflecting.
M&M's?
And the song comes back, yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to give a little bit towards the childhood that his father took away from him.
Still needs to have that conversation with him, though.
I think this is a good first step, though.
Yeah, it is. Wow, that was a great episode. The main theme of this was looking back in the past and relationship with your family and how mother and father reflect who you are, you know, and how they raise you, and it reflects on the person you are today. And that was a lot of what Mr. Soprano was doing, man. He was reflecting. It was a lot of reflecting, looking back in the past. I want to start with the flashbacks. Charlie, what did you get from those flashbacks from Tony Soprano and who we are and who he is? Because now we got an idea of what his father was like, and we're seeing the parallels on how he treats his kids. Is there something that you were able to, you know, finally understand and who Mr. Soprano is as a character?
I mean, I think a lot of the flashbacks show how similar his parents' lifestyle at home, like the arguing and just the relationships in general in his household, are to his current family's household, or his household now. So him being closer to his daughter than he is to his son, and he's kind of reflecting on that, like he didn't really have much of a relationship with his dad, and he found out about his dad by kind of like eavesdropping and just through like word of mouth, little bits and pieces here, and that's exactly what Anthony Jr. is hearing too. He's finding out bits of like from his sister, from Meadow, like, oh, dad's in the mafia, blah, 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 by kids at school saying stuff, you know, like, oh, we're afraid of your dad, not you, blah, blah, blah. So I think Tony's finally realizing like, it's maybe better for me to, you know, be part of Anthony Jr.'s life and not for him to, you know, try to understand who I am from other people's perspective.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I thought from the flashbacks, everything that I was seeing, there was very clear parallels, and I was saying that the entire time, right? Yeah. Exactly what Charlie mentioned. All the relationships very much feed into the relationships that Tony has currently. And it was very clear that his childhood had a very big impact on who he is and, you know, how his life currently is. But the one thing that I really noticed also is that, like, I know it's not like a consolation or like a great thing, but like he's not as bad as his dad and like his upbringing, because what Charlie was saying, you know, he heard other things about his dad. He saw those things. He saw his dad beat the crap out of somebody. He saw his dad get arrested. Like, those are the things that Anthony Jr. doesn't have to see and hasn't seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, that to me was a big sticking point. But the thing is, in his head, he thinks he's just as bad as his dad. Right? Like, he is so fixated on potentially messing his kid up. And it's all around this situation of, like, my kid has ADHD and it's my fault. And my kid is doing wrong things because it's my fault. And we see how, you know, this show is very good at building characters and just character chemistry and character development. Like, we understood the family had a certain dynamic, and we were like questioning why that was. And this episode very well illustrated that. Like, you understand now why Meadow is the way that she is, and, you know, she's straight edge. Well, not straight edge, because, you know, she does she does math sometimes, but otherwise, she's straight A student, like all that stuff, and has a very close relationship with her father. And Anthony Jr. is like a little bit more rebellious and whatever, and not as good in school and all that. It's very direct correlation. So the entire time I can just see him like beating himself up over this in therapy, and like giving his parents excuses, right? So it's like this dichotomy of like he's in therapy now, and he's realizing, damn, my parents or I really messed this up. But giving his family excuses, giving his dad excuses of like, no, I thought it was cool. No, my mom was just tough. Like, that's just how it was. You know what I mean? But very much beating himself up over like messing his kids up or messing Anthony Jr. up specifically. So I thought that was really, really interesting because it kind of shows like the evolution of his generation and how they're different from where his parents came from.
And how relevant that is today with a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
It tends to, translate with society today, where a lot of people blame themselves for their parents' actions and something that maybe it wasn't their fault. It's how they were raised, and you gotta really, it's hard, it's tough.
Or they just see themselves as negative, or
like, they're saying
damn,
like,
I was
like
this, and they have a hard time relating that to what how their parents raised
They'll
them.
say, oh, it was my fault, it was not their fault. They put the blame on themselves,
right?
And that's, man, it's.
And the kid went through trauma.
Like, no, he literally did. His mom said he was gonna poke his eye out. Like, yo,
we're used to our parents like grabbing the belt or being like, grab the freaking the flip flops, toss it at you across the room. But she was like,
she was gonna stab this man's eye out.
That is crazy. So there was something interesting at the end where they finally go to Anthony's psychiatrist, and he tells him, yo, he has 5 symptoms out of the 9. And then Tony flips the switch, and also Carmela agrees with him. What did you guys get out of that conversation specifically? What stood out to you in that moment? Was him, what do you think is, I don't know, I'm kind of trying to understand what I got from that. I want to know what your guys' perspective was from that.
It almost felt like, to me, he felt like, I still have time to fix this. In a sense where he was like, it almost felt like the guy was telling him like, and this is not how it works at all, but like it's almost like he's telling him, well, he has 5 of the 9 symptoms, but he's not there yet. And Tony's like, okay, I've been to my psychiatrist. I understood all the bad things that happened to my dad, or my dad went through, and I went through as a kid, and how that's affected me today. How can I still fix this with my kid? And I think, he has a very brutal way of like expressing himself, right? He's very crude. He's very blunt.
Yeah.
But I think his intention of that was more like, I need to remedy this, and I think I can at least try.
So do you think his intentions are good?
I do. I do actually think his intentions are good. I think that, like, that last scene that we saw with him and sharing ice cream with Anthony, we saw something that we didn't see in any of the flashbacks of him and his dad, other than the fact that like his dad came back from jail and gave him like this whatever, right? Like
the cherry ice cream.
The cherry ice cream.
Yeah,
right? Like
it's the cherry vanilla, whatever.
So, yeah, maybe there is a parallel there, right? And maybe that's his one way of like, oh, I have this positive note of my dad in me as a kid, and I need to do the same thing for my kid, because that's all he knows.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's what he knows. But I do think he's actively noticing that, and his dad was just kind of doing that as like oh man, like, don't talk about me going to prison, like, here's some ice cream kind of thing. You know what I mean? I think Tony is actively trying to remedy his relationship with his kid. Maybe it's not even remedy, maybe it's more like, I really need to watch out for my kid and take care, or else he could end up doing some of the, ending up like me. And we saw he clearly very much doesn't want his kid to end up like him.
Yeah. And we also saw in this episode that Tony's father had the potential of actually leaving Jersey and going to Nevada and starting a new life, a new chapter, and get away from all this.
Right.
And Tony's mother was like, no.
This is a super interesting point.
Like, what, yo? That's crazy.
It is, but if you think about it, it really it's perfectly in line with her character. with Livia's character.
Because she's so, I don't know. She's like, I think of her as someone who's
she's a mobster, bro.
Yeah.
Like she's a mobster behind the scenes, because the second that like his dad gets arrested in the flashback, she doesn't bat an eye.
She's like, he'll get out.
Doesn't whatever, right? He decides that he's gonna leave and go to Reno and do whatever. She's absolutely livid. No way in hell, right? Like absolutely not. Uncle Junior comes to visit, present day, right? All this stuff. He starts kind of bragging. She's like, oh, I can't stand the fact that he's so boastful about this, blah, blah. As if she knows the standard of what it's like to be, the boss. And so she's like a mafia. She's an OG.
Yeah.
Like she really is an OG. And she is very aligned with the morals, values, and the organization in general. And you can see that in her. And there's two things that really stood out to me in that scene, the last scene where he was visiting his mother, is how she kept her cards close to her chest, and she made that slight comment about a psychiatrist, and he dug a little, but she didn't give him the I know, you know what I mean? Like, I heard from Anthony Jr. that you are going to a psychiatrist, because she thinks that maybe she could use that. That's what my theory is anyway. And then the other piece was like, Tony goes to her and was like, yeah, if you were born after the feminists, you would have been the real gangster. And I was like, yes, 100%. Like, she wears the pants. She knows how to wear the pants. If it wasn't for her generation and the way that, just like the household norms and the traditional mother,
nuclear
father,
family.
Yeah, the nuclear family and all that. She would have been the biggest gangster of the entire mob.
Yeah. It's just, what it pointed out to me is what I've always been trying to understand about her is that, I feel like she puts the mob over her family.
Oh yeah,
it's about
the organization.
The organization. Yeah, the organization is the family, but it's like, you have your son. Like, this is the kid you gave birth to, and you're totally fine of him, falling.
Yeah.
Like, you don't care, because she could easily just be like, she could easily confront him, but she doesn't want to because of the organization, because it plays a role, and that's so fascinating to me. How she can just, I don't know, not bat an eye and be like, I'm going to use that for something else, for gain, when you're sitting at a retirement home.
Right.
And it's like, wow, it really will never leave you until you die.
Yeah.
That's what I'm understanding.
And this makes me curious more about her background, because we see the parallel of her and Carmela, while, Livia and Johnny would argue and would really get into it, similar to Tony and Carmela. Carmela has this like moral compass that, like, she feels like things are going on wrong, and she'll say something about it, or she'll at least feel guilty. Livia's not like that.
Nah, Livia's not.
So, like, I don't know what her background is, but it almost makes me feel like she's like come from a mob family, or like knows.
The question is, was she born into it?
Right. That's my question, and maybe I'm completely off base, but something about her upbringing leads me to believe that she lived a hard life, or she's seen shit from a young age. That's caused her to be like this. So I'm super curious now to understand, even before Tony, what she was like.
Yeah.
What her life was
I
like.
wonder if we'll get flashbacks from that, because if we do, we can tell that, like you said, she's been through some difficult things in life, and to be the woman that she is today, she had to fight. She had to fight for who she was.
Right.
And I just, oh man, dang, wow. So in this episode, we saw the favoritism that broke our hearts, where it paralleled really well again with how Tony and Meadow and their relationship. But is there, man, I lost my train of thought. I got another question. Okay. So we saw that this series is it's gotten very experimental with things that I don't know if it's the same while shows were going on at that time, but I feel like this show has been very experimental in terms of the filmmaking. And I just wonder what jumps out to you that, I said at the beginning while we were reacting, what jumps out to you that makes this feel experimental for its time?
Charles? I don't think it's experimental
It's
per
just a sign
se
of the
for
times.
its
Yeah.
time.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I've seen.
I think in terms of TV, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some of the same things in movies, but I don't know. I feel like they're just taking from different,
Yeah.
movies that have happened
Mhm.
before, especially like mobsters and stuff, and
Yeah.
applying it to
Mhm.
this.
Yeah.
That's basically what I'm seeing from it. Not to take away, from it at all. I think it's used very, very tastefully, and it's, done really well. So I think but now like thinking about it, like this is probably one of the first things on television for its time that is taking things from movie making styles and using it for TV,
Becoming more cinematic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that must have been like a huge, like, shock to people.
Yeah.
Because they're watching TV, someone looks over, like, our parents are older or whatever, and I'll be watching something like a series, and mom will come into the room and be like, "Oh, what movie is this?" I'm like, "It's a TV show."
Yeah.
It's that sort of thing. So
yes, it's much nowadays we're much more used to the lines being blurred between film and TV that like you almost don't notice it sometimes anymore, especially with like HBO dramas and things like that. But this was like, as we know, this was a pioneering, series for HBO and TV in general. But it almost feels like I don't know. It feels at times, and I don't want this to be a negative critique of the show because I am really enjoying the show and I love it. It almost feels like they're trying to find a way to make it cinematic, and like sometimes it doesn't come off as well as it could, in terms of just like the transitions, the cuts, like the cinematic moments that you're truly like, oh yeah, that reminds me of a movie. Sometimes it feels a little bit more jarring than that. But I wonder how it evolves, because I do think that this was, for its time, pioneering in terms of a TV show. So I'm just curious how it ends up evolving, because like as the 2000s go on, you probably see a lot more of this.
I just see it as blending the two together.
Right. And that's maybe why, but it's funny because I'm sure it was jarring for people at the time, but it's jarring for me watching it. And I'm used to cinematic TV shows. But some of the transition, and maybe it's just,
but I think that's why, because it's a blend of the two at the time. So
right, exactly, that's what I mean.
I don't know if it's the first to do it, but let's say it is, right? For the
sake of argument,
hypothetical, it's the first to blend those two together, TV and film style. So for you, the first attempt at that is going to be jarring for both audiences back then and for now.
Yeah.
Because they're going to see it way more as like, wow, this looks like a movie. And for us, where every series nowadays like looks like a movie,
right?
It's going to be jarring for us.
Yeah.
So yeah, now that I notice it too, it's like it almost feels like there's not much of an in between anymore. It's like you have the set style for reality TV, a set style for sitcom, and then everything else just looks like a movie.
Yes, yeah. There's
in
nuance.
terms of series.
I think you can tell a difference, but it's definitely gotten a lot similar now.
Yes,
like,
it's a lot more blended.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other ball of wax. Like we can jump into modern filmmaking and TV and how it looks different. But
yeah,
that's just my take. I'm sure that there were other series that leading up to this had tried more cinematic things. However, this one feels the most like it's really leaning into the cinematic style.
Yeah. Plus it's HBO primetime television back in the day.
Exactly.
And I can tell that it was their first time trying to do this and be different, and I can see that it's going to get better. They're going to perfect it as the season goes, as the show produces. I mean, keeps going. So I wonder how well this progresses and gets better, because everyone says, I've seen comments, everyone's like, oh, just wait until you keep watching, because the show just gets better.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this just to caveat everything that I've said. Like, I'm very happy that the show tried these things, and like we're seeing this, because if it does progress, it's gonna be like, it's like watching a flower bloom. You know what I mean? Like this show just transforming into something that people didn't even potentially think was possible, or something that people didn't even expect from TV. So I'm super happy with the show. One thing I wanted to mention as well is I didn't read this in the comments, but there were a couple comments I think where people were really appreciating our discussions because we lean into the psychological, the human aspects of the characters and Tony specifically. And I guess there were probably people at the time, and there's also people today who think the show is boring because they want a mob. They want a mobster show. They want people getting whacked left and right. They want deception, skirting the law, all that consistently, which the show does have, but there's so many layers to the characters, and that's what I find interesting. So I just wanted to call that out, that I'm glad that our audience agrees with us in the sense that this show has a lot of layers. I mean, I think that's probably why this stood the test of time, because if it was just like a mobster, oh, this guy gets whacked and every episode somebody gets whacked, like, you know what I mean? It probably, it would get boring after a while.
Yeah, so jumping into that in this show, I feel like this may have been the first episode where we saw a lot of conversation between Dr. Melfi and Tony. Like, they were really going in deep, very deep in this episode. And is there something specific that stood out to you in those conversations in this episode that revealed something new about Tony? I mean, obviously we got the flashbacks, right? But what is something new about Tony that you're learning from him?
The one thing that I thought was super interesting about their conversation was his like dichotomy of, when I was a kid, I saw the shit that my dad did and I thought he was badass. And I would tell kids at school that it was super tough. And she kind of asked, like, do you think Anthony does that about you? And he's like, well, I kind of hope he does, right? But at the same time, he's like, but I don't want my kid to end up like me. So he has this real conflict now of like, you know, I remember when I was a kid thinking the most of my dad when I knew the things that he did and I could brag about it at school. And he almost like wants that for his kid, but at the same time, he doesn't want his kid to become him. And he realized that seeing all the things his dad did and being so exposed to that life is what led directly to him living the same life. So he's very much now in therapy confronting like his biggest issues, in my opinion.
Yeah. Charlie, put yourself in Tony Soprano's shoes. How would you deal with a situation like this?
I don't know how I would deal with this.
Charlie's not about the mob life.
No, not at all. But from what I took away from it was the progress in therapy.
Yeah.
Because we've seen a lot of Tony sitting there and like, you know, hitting back against Dr. Melfi and like rejecting some of the ideas. But in this episode, I feel as though he really, you know, told her his account of how his childhood went and then maybe reflected on it a bit to the point where, you know, it took us to that scene in the end with Anthony Jr., where he's making ice cream with him, trying to bond and all that stuff. So we're starting to see him take things from therapy and use it to make his life more positive.
There was a moment where he was talking, he kept rambling, and then he stopped and looked at Dr. Melfi. He's like, what, you're not going to say anything? And then she's like, and then he kept going. And then, which again, it's progress, because it's like, yo, it's really working for him.
80% of like good therapy is active listening. It's really just like listening to what the person is saying and confirming it back to them and leading them down an additional path of understanding of themselves. And like that, this show, I don't know if they had like psychologists or psychiatrists like on set helping develop with the writers, but they do a very good job of showing that in therapy. There is one thing I wanted to ask you guys, because I think we have one of our OGs, Ruby. I think she made a comment at one point that said Tony is actually like using these things from therapy to manipulate people, and he's not progressing. He's just using these things to be more manipulative. And I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think? Do you think that's the case, or do you think that he is progressing?
So I read that comment, and in my head, I was like, maybe this is a perspective from the fact that she's probably seen the show. Because I don't know. I personally, where we are at right now, I don't know if I see that yet.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, maybe that's, you know, how it's going to turn out. And I can definitely see it being
we've seen some examples.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm going to go back to some other episodes in the past. Remember where Dr. Melfi tells him, hey, just make your uncle feel like he's at the top.
Yeah.
Boom.
He did it.
He's done that.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
yeah, actually, that is a good example.
100%. I do believe Tony's not 100% innocent.
No, he's not.
We know.
Yeah, no, he's
guys,
not.
we understand. Tony Soprano's
Tony's
not
crazy.
a good guy.
Yeah.
Like
for where we're at right now, it feels like he is.
Yeah, I mean,
and we want to.
He's the anti-hero.
Exactly.
That's why.
That's what I was gonna say. It was like we want him to be the good guy.
Right.
And it feels like he is in this moment, but we know. Somewhere, probably in the next episode, he's gonna take that shit and manipulate it somehow.
Oh man, now I'm thinking of all the previous comments of like the comparisons of like Walter White and like understanding going to Breaking Bad and looking at the progression of Walter. Just being like, and now I'm like,
what's the progression? What's the progression of Tony Soprano?
Right. What's in store? Because if it's any way similar, we're in for some shit. Like, we're really in for some shit.
We're gonna look back at our first reactions to season 1, and
right?
to
and
last
like,
season.
Damn, we played ourselves, bro. Tony played us.
It's just hard for me to. Well, it's not hard, but it's like a storyline where the guy is going to therapy and somehow becomes worse of a person. To me, just doesn't compute. But it's probably
that's
it's
great writing, man. That's great writing because he's also a mobster.
Like what Ruby said, he's learning stuff from therapy and is probably going to use it against people.
Right, and there's also this just came to me, but like in the conversation he's having with Dr. Melfi, she has this kind of conversation of like, do you think everything is predestined? No, you have free will and choices.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious if the show is going to portray that in the sense of like, Tony feels that everything is predestined. He is a mobster. He is a mob boss. He is a bad guy.
Like he can never get out of that life.
He can never get out of that life. No matter how much therapy, no matter how much he reconciles with his childhood, no matter how much he tries to fix things, deep inside, he feels like he cannot change. And that's the part that I am curious to see if that's a continuous theme. I think it will be, but like how that plays out.
But how does he think that, but also confront his mother at the end of the episode and ask her about like, you didn't let him make that choice or whatever, right? So like how, I don't know how that's predestination.
I think maybe he's probably analyzing at his life and being like, wow, imagine if we made that choice, I wouldn't be in this position.
Well,
or I don't know.
I don't think he's 100% sold on the predestined thing now. What I'm saying is that I think right now he's really grappling with it. And like what Charlie is saying is a very good example of that, is he's going to his mother and saying, why didn't you let him do this? And, are the answers going to lead to like, I really just disrupted one of his choices? Or is the answer going to be, well, your dad was always a mob boss. Like, that's just what he did. And that's always what he was going to do. You know what I mean? Even if he went to Reno, he would have been capo. He would have.
That's what I was going to say is that, well, Reno, I don't know, is that Vegas? Close to
Nevada.
Vegas?
Yep.
Nevada, yeah.
So like the mob stuff there in that time period is like heightened to another level. So I feel like he wouldn't have escaped it. He would have gone deeper into that.
Yeah, it's
into
possible.
that life. So also why she didn't let him do that is questionable. If she's so much of a mobster herself. So I don't know.
Yeah, good question. I don't know.
There was
a lot to unpack.
I hope we get more backstory on his mom because
I think after watching this episode, a big thing I think from all of us is that we want to see more from his mother.
Yes,
specifically her background.
She's becoming more intriguing by the episode.
And we saw another interesting thing in the therapy session where Dr. Melfi talks about ADD being by genetics, like it's passed down. Yeah, it passes down. I don't know. I'm in that time, right, in the early 2000s. I think to see that would have been, whoa, eye opening. I don't know
about the genetic fact.
Yeah, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm learning a lot about the. Okay, disclaimer: I have ADHD. Charlie has ADHD. We're sorry, Mom. You probably have ADHD too. we're pretty positive there's like some genetic history with that, but ADHD, and I've learned through like my own psychiatrist that there's a lot more coming out about it, and there are certain genes that are probably attributed with ADHD. But like even in 20 years, the research has come a very long way. But back then, it's like nothing compared to what it is now. Like it's very, 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 very different. And the thing is, like nowadays, ADHD is like it manifests itself in very different ways in different people. Back then, it's like, well, you have to have 6 of the 9 possible symptoms to make sure that you have it, and it was very much rigid.
And that's why Tony was having a hard time accepting.
Exactly.
Oh, he fidgets, so he's he's
because
special ed classes now because he fidgets. He has ADD because he fidgets.
You know why? Tony fidgets.
Yeah. So
exactly.
it was.
Like, this is the stuff that we see, and he is. He's having a really hard time being like, well, you're saying my kid's screwed up because I'm screwed up.
He needs a smack upside the head. That's all he needs,
But that's the part is like, Dr. Melfi's trying to tell him, like, it is hereditary and it's not something that you could possibly control if he has this. Like, he has it because of genetics. And, you can make choices to either make him have a good life or have a good trajectory because of it, or a bad one because of it, because of the choices that you make. So there's that push and pull of like, well, he is the way that he is because that's just how it is. Or he is the way that he is, but I can still make this positive and I can still change it. It's that constant grapple.
Mm-hmm. And it's now trying to see how Tony will confront that.
Yes.
And I can't wait to see the conversation he has with his son, because he has to have that conversation. It has to develop to the conversation being like, yo, I don't want you to be I think we're all understanding that he doesn't want his son to be a mobster.
Yeah. I do think he needs to build that relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
More,
it
though,
needs to,
because we saw in this episode him basically tell his kid that that's not true.
Yeah.
He basically lied to his kid. So, like, I think his biggest thing is he wants Anthony to trust him first and, like, really gain that bond. Not that Anthony distrusts him, but, like, he feels like he really needs to create that relationship before he can even let him into that world. Him and Meadow talk a lot more. That's why he was able, and also she's older, but, like, that's why he was able to kind of, let her in a little bit.
Can I go back to the ADD thing real quick?
Yeah.
Do you okay, so Anthony Jr., they think he has ADD.
Yep.
Tony probably has ADD.
Yep.
With the fidgeting and stuff. Do you think his mother is the one who has ADD because it's genetic?
Possible.
Because I'm just trying to think of, like, the interactions that they showed us between Tony and his mother, and he was babbling on and on and on and on, complaining about oh, my sister can go do this, I can't do that, blah blah blah, something. And then I don't know, I felt like she
lost her patience.
She lost
her patience. She was impulsive.
Yeah.
She was like
showed some of those signs.
distracted, like trying to
cook,
trying to cook and trying to talk to him and take
run
care of
by a
this.
motor.
Yeah, and there was I think there was a smaller child by the table or something too. Like, there was a lot going on. I don't know. I don't know if I can just take that scenario and be like, oh, there's signs of ADD there. But I'm curious as to if she is the one. The other moments that we saw where we thought it was like more signs of dementia. Maybe that was ADD too, because. Or no, because she got distracted by, like, the mailman that was watching, and the stuff started burning in the kitchen and the phone's ringing. And
I guess you can't rule it out, but I would, I would probably point more towards dementia for something like that. I mean, I'm not a medical expert. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh my God, I can watch this television show and tell you exactly what the diagnosis is. But the more that you mention it, the more that I'm feeling that while Tony thinks he's a reflection of his dad, he is a reflection of his mom more than he likes to admit.
Yeah.
Because he spent more time with his mom.
Yes.
Right.
So
exactly. And his mom has a very confrontational nature. She is blunt, just like Tony.
But that's why he knows her so well as well. Like, that's why he knows, like, the steps to take to try to get into her ear, because he knows how she thinks.
No,
and all that
but
stuff.
he can't get into her ear, and you know why? It's because they're so similar.
Right, but he tries.
He does.
He tries.
He does. But he knows he doesn't, she has a better relationship with Junior. It feels like they just really butt heads because they do have some similar tendencies. Not to say that Tony would ever, like, tell his kid he's going to poke his eye out or anything like that, but he definitely gets aggressive with people, confronts them. Obviously, his dad did that too, but, like Charlie said, he spent a lot of time with his mom, so I'm sure that some of that rubbed off.
Yeah, and just a quick more. There was a moment where we saw with Tony's father. He's able to have a really good conversation with his daughter, but barely talks to Tony. And then in parallel, Tony can have really deep conversation with Meadow, but can't have with Anthony. Is there something similar that you guys think, or is it just because of age and just metal? Is it just older?
Yeah, I think that's one part. But I do think it's at this point in the show, it's to show a parallel between his upbringing and his current family.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll see if that evolves as Anthony gets older.
I know this was another great episode, man. But y'all, thank you so much for watching and listening to this episode. Please like this video and comment your thoughts. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing. We love you guys and see you soon for more Tony Tuesday.
Tony Tuesday.